Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome in to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. Your host, Brendan Glasheen, joined on this Friday by Anthony DeBundo and Charlie DiSturco. This is the normal Friday crew. It's been a while since we've all been together. We are here for the podcast Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays during the season. Please rate, review, and subscribe if you are tuned in wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you're watching on the Action Network YouTube page, we realize we have some video people as well. Please like the video if you are so inclined, and also subscribe to our Action Network YouTube page. Plenty of content coming over there, not just baseball, but we're in the world of football these days as well, college football, NFL. So please get over there. 15-game slate. We got to dive into a bunch. I want to hit a couple things at the end, possibly. Blake Snell, his outing on Wednesday, what that means for Justin Steele, who we will get to in some capacity in this podcast. And I'd like to spend a quick 30 seconds, maybe later at the end of the show, to Barry Heimblum, who is now gone from Boston. That made me kind of happy yesterday. But as we normally do, best bets to kick off the show. I'm going to go to Charlie first here, because Charlie and I, DeBundo, with all due respect, we're the chemistry we have these last 48 hours has just been, it's been unmatched. So go ahead, Charlie. What do you got?
Yes. See, there you go. You hit a same game parlay on the Green Dot Daily, and now you're out here. My best bet is the Dodgers on the money line here, minus 104. Bobby Miller against George Kirby, and I like the Dodgers in this matchup. You look at just about every metric over the last 14 days, the Dodgers have the better offense, 11th versus 17th to Seattle. In general, they're second against right-handed pitching, and Seattle's 7th. And over the last 30 days, the Dodgers bullpen has gotten a lot of slack just because of their midseason meltdowns. They're actually 4th in xFIP over the last 30-day span. Seattle down at 6th, still elite, but in every edge slightly to the Dodgers here. And I like the pitching matchup and give the edge to the Dodgers in that one too. Miller has a 3.62 expected ERA, due for some negative regression. Over the last 30 days, his Stuff Plus rating, there's a DeBundo checklist bingo board. Miller is actually 6th of those with minimum 20 innings pitched over the last 30 days. Every pitch above 100 in his Stuff Plus. Has a high ground ball rate, a great barrel rate, above average in nearly every area but strikeouts. And I think that'll come with how good his Stuff Plus is. And he's got on the road where he's got a 3.22 ERA. So a lot of numbers just thrown at you, but Bobby Miller is prime for a great matchup. And George Kirby, just real quickly, a near 4 expected ERA, due for slight negative regression, doesn't strike out that many batters or get swings and misses. This has been his issue all season long. I love Kirby. I still think he's going to be a great pitcher in this matchup. I just think the Dodgers should be favored. The Mariners had their hot streak earlier, about 3-4 weeks ago. They're kind of coming back down to earth, and this is a perfect time to buy low on the Dodgers at a near pick 'em.
DeBundo, you want to weigh in on this? Because we talked about the Mariners earlier in the week. You're down on them to make the playoffs. It's no knock necessarily on Kirby and their top of the rotation, but any thoughts on this pick by Charlie?
Yeah, both guys love to pound the zone, and both guys are in the zone a lot, but when you look at their zone contact rates, Miller's much better at missing bats in the zone, and that comes from the better stuff. You look at zone contact and swinging strike rate, Miller does have an edge over Kirby in that. And generally speaking, these are two pretty patient offenses, but the Dodgers are clearly head and shoulders above what the Mariners can offer. It is interesting to see how Scott Service manages Mr. Kirby after his outburst last week about pitching too far into the game. And look, it is borne out by the numbers. Kirby has not been good third time through the order. First plate appearance against George Kirby, 666 OPS. Second, 582. Third time through the order, 816. So, I think that comes from, him not having overpowering stuff, is that as much as he's a command artist, and I love that about him, he doesn't, once you see him a couple times, you sit on that stuff and you can get, jump him a little bit. And so, I've always compared him to Aaron Nola, and Nola has had the same problem throughout his career. So I think there's a lot of parallels there. I think Miller's the clearly better starter, though. I agree with Charlie, and also bet the Dodgers minus 105 in this game. I would bet them up to probably minus 115 before I would pass on the road. This is where I think the Mariners start to run into some problems. They do have the A's coming up, but their remaining schedule includes the Dodgers for 3, the Rangers for 7, and the Astros for 3. It's going to be a really tough run-in, even though now the Rangers won't have Scherzer. I think they may be the team left out, although Toronto is not exactly covering themselves in glory this week.
Mm-hmm. Any chance this flips and the Dodgers become favorites?
Yeah, that's where
it wouldn't shock me.
That's where the market's heading. It's heading toward LA. You could see some of the books starting to move to the minus 110, 115 range. There's still that minus 105 out there, which is obviously always better to have that CLV and the better number. But yeah, I would, like Debundo said, I'd back to minus 115, even minus 120. I think this is a nice smash spot for the Dodgers to bounce back.
Okay, Debundo, best bet. What do you got for this full slate tonight?
Yeah, let's go to the American League East, where the Rays are quietly closing in. They're only 1 game back, 2 in the loss column behind the Orioles. They will face the Orioles all weekend, 3-game series or 4-game series. They won the first game last night. The third, this weekend they'll play. They have a chance to take first place, maybe even claim a tiebreaker over the Orioles. And look, when the Orioles traded for Jack Flaherty at the trade deadline, I think everybody kind of was intrigued by that, because the Orioles have had a lot of success with their pitching development in the last few years, finding guys from within and developing and tweaking people and kind of getting the best out of, not great heralded names. Somebody like a Kyle Bradish, who did not come in with a high pedigree guy. They got him in the Dylan Bundy trade, developing guys like Tyler Wells. So they've done a really nice job in their pitching development. And so people said, well, maybe this will work for Flaherty. And his first start, he was juiced up. He was throwing harder than he has all year. And he threw a dominant outing against the Blue Jays. 6 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. Next outing against Houston. Again, fastball velocity ticked up. 5 innings, 3 runs, but 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. It was pretty encouraging performance. Gave up a homer, but was fine otherwise. And we have now seen the wheels come off, and this has not continued for him. His success has not really been particularly good. He got rocked against the Padres, couldn't throw a strike, struggled against the Rockies, struggled against the Diamondbacks, and struggled against the Red Sox his last time out. So I think as you've seen the velocity tick down, we kind of know what Flaherty is. When he's not throwing that hard, he has very hittable fastball stuff, a decent slider, very average to below average command. And he's, a full run worse in every projection system compared to Zach Eflin, who's going to pitch for the Rays tonight. And I know the Orioles have the better lineup. I know that Pete Fairbanks has pitched 4 out of the last 6 days. So, there's the potential for some, rest for him. Robert Stevenson has pitched 2 straight days, although he only pitched to 1 batter 2 days ago. So I imagine he's going to be available at the back end of this Tampa bullpen. I see an advantage for Tampa overall in the bullpens now with Bautista down. I think they have the better bullpen. And Zach Eflin, has once again put together an incredible season with elite command, and he's just not going to give away free passes. And so I think the difference between him and Flaherty is pretty stark. And, the market projections on him are kind of, like 3.5, 3.7, 3.9. You can make a strong case, and I'd agree with it, that he's actually better than that, and that he's pitching at a just below elite level. 3.1 xERA this year, strikeout minus walk rate, highest of his career. So, all of that trending in the right direction for Eflin. And I'm, a full believer in him in this spot. So I like to raise minus 120.
Right.
You can find 120 out there. There's some 130s. The market's moved toward Tampa overnight. There are some rogue bad numbers sitting out there, though.
Okay, shop around, as we always encourage. Okay, fade the public. Let's figure it out if we're going to do that today. Chicago Cubs and their Cy Young contender. Maybe not so much anymore after Blake Snell shoved on Wednesday. Cubs visiting the Diamondbacks. Justin Steele is on the mound. 58% of the bets, 69% of the cash on Steele. Here's the latest, actually. 61% of the bets, 60% of the cash. That's rising. Maybe a little more action now coming in on the Diamondbacks, actually. But you can get the Cubs at minus 138. There's some minus 140 numbers out there. Arizona in that plus 115, plus 120 range. 2 teams in the thick of that NL wildcard race. Debundo, are you willing to fade the public today and fade Justin Steele?
Yeah, I like Brandon Pfaadt too much to fade the public here. And I've had, or to go with the public, I should say, because, there does come a point where every pitcher has kind of like their point where they become a little bit overvalued. And I'm starting to wonder if we're getting to that point on Justin Steele. For so long, he beat all the metrics, but now everybody's on to it. Everybody wants to bet Justin Steele because look at how good he's been. He's a Cy Young contender for the first time all year, and people are starting to buy into that. I like Pfaadt too much, and so I'm going to play the under instead. There are some questions about the Cubs bullpen now that Ozolai's down on the injured list. They're kind of going closer by committee here, but Steele's been going so deep into games that you don't have to really worry about the bullpen as much here in this matchup. So when we look at Brandon Pfaadt, it's kind of been the story of 2 years, and he was so bad the first time he came up. And I'm not even going to talk about the numbers, but ERA was north of 7. And even his season long is now north of 6. So he has not been quote unquote good. But the underlying pitch modeling, and this is something that I will continue to bet on a pitcher when we don't have a big sample, is the stuff is good and the locations are improving. Fastball stuff plus has increased in the last 30 days. So, he was somebody who had a pretty average fastball in AAA and coming up, and the Fangraphs grades were not great on the fastball, but it has trended in the right direction. He's been throwing a little bit of more of a sinker, is trying to keep the ball in the yard. And then the slider sweeper has been really good and grades out really well. 120 stuff plus on the slider, curveball's good. And the location numbers, 103 location plus for Pfaadt. That's for the year. And it's actually been better in the last 2 months. So Pfaadt, somebody I'm going to continue to bet on, despite in the face of pretty mediocre numbers. We were just talking off air about Reese Olson, somebody who had gotten bombed a bunch of times. And I was like, well, I swear he's good. He's going to come around. And they have another guy on this staff in Ryan Nelson that has not really come around despite good stuff numbers, but I'm still a believer in Pfaadt, and the sample's still too small for me to give up on him. So the strikeout minus walk numbers are decent for him too. It's just been the homers. So can he keep the ball in the yard? If he can, he's going to be a decent pitcher. I like the under 8.5 runs here for this game. And hopefully Pfaadt, when he gives up a homer or two, it comes with nobody on base, because that's going to be the key.
And the money's coming in on the under for this matchup tonight. Charlie, the Cubs had won 9 straight Justin Steele starts. Diamondbacks faced him last time out, so he's facing them again. And he went 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, no walks, struck out 6. Are you with the people on the Cubs, or are you going with Dabundo here in the Diamondbacks? Or is there an angle that Dabundo, is there another angle you might like?
I lean toward Arizona, and I lean toward the under here. I don't have an official play, though. Dabundo makes a compelling argument, and one that I might be jumping into, but more looking toward that first 5 under number. It just Pfaadt is the biggest question mark, right? That he's the guy that we saw a stretch of where he didn't give up a home run for a few starts, and then all of a sudden he gives up and explodes for 2 or 3 at a time. The last time out against the Cubs, he gave up 3 home runs, 4 runs total. So I do like the under look here. I think Steele, it's no question how dominant he is. And, it's crazy. It took the public this long to really understand how good and how undervalued he was in the market. But I agree with Anthony. I think that, the numbers are starting to get a little bit inflated in the direction of Steele. Like the Cubs are this heavy of a favorite. I get minus 120, 130 with him seems like a number that is just slightly too high. But I will say Arizona bottom 10 against left-handed pitching in a WRC plus standpoint, which is why I lean toward the under, the first 5 under, rather than getting to the bullpens where I don't trust the Diamondbacks bullpen at all. And the Cubs is shaky at times. I look toward maybe just trusting the starters here and hoping Pfaadt doesn't blow up, which we'll see if I add in the action app.
First
I did
5.
find it interesting. They played this game. So Pfaadt pitched against them on Sunday. Steele pitched Saturday. So it's not quite a head-to-head, but they actually opened for Pfaadt on Sunday and brought Joe Mantiply in to face the top of the Cubs order. Is typically involves Tauchman, Happ, and Bellinger. And that's Tauchman's lefty. Bellinger's a lefty. Happ hits better from the left side, so you want to face a lefty against him, make him hit righty. They actually opened with Mantiply for the first, 2 innings, and then went to Pfaadt behind him. So I'm kind of interested on that approach. It didn't work. He gave up a run and a couple of hits, and they were behind. And then Pfaadt came in and didn't really look great. But I'll be interested to see if they change course on that. If they end up changing to the opener tonight or sticking with Pfaadt, because I think it's probably optimal if they can avoid the lefties, because he does have a bit of a platoon problem, given that his best pitch is that sweeper.
First 5 total is set at 4.5 runs right now.
Yeah,
I'd look under there too.
Yeah,
Same,
especially if they go with Mantiply off the top or a lefty, that would be a decent look going toward that first 5 under, because then you only get a couple innings of Pfaadt where the biggest issue is his home run problems, which can get out of hand at times.
Okay, we got to do our jobs here really quick. You can answer in 1 sentence and we'll move on. Is the NL Cy Young race over?
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Blake Snell still has a couple starts left.
Mhm.
He could implode. I don't think it's going to happen, but I
I
don't know.
think
We need
even
to
if
start.
he,
I need to start. Tanner McGrath's been doing a Twitter campaign for Blake Snell. I had to block him the other day because he was just retweeting everything about how good Blake Snell is. But yeah, I'm a big believer that individual awards should be based on team accomplishments. Not actually, but I'm going to say that because the Cubs, I mean, look at how good they are compared to the shitty Padres. So you know what? It should be Justin Steele's award. If Blake Snell was so good, he would have inspired his teammates to play better in close games.
he says that as he says Ohtani's a lock for the MVP, but the Angels are a sub 500 team
Oh, of
and
course.
absolutely disastrous, despite
Good
an
job,
elite pitcher
DeBundo.
and
I
elite
mean,
hitter.
good job, Charlie. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, Corey Seager.
No, I'm entirely trolling.
I know, but I'm saying Corey Seager for MVP if that's the metric.
Okay, for context, Blake Snell
Pitcher wins. Who has more wins, Blake Snell or I don't actually know.
Steele has
tell you.
16 wins.
Yeah, Steele's-
16.
No way. I don't even think the Padres have 16 wins.
Oh,
Blake Snell only has 14. So therefore, Justin Steele winner. I would take him for Cy Young.
Notice David Payne is our audio producer today. Notice I said one sentence and it went back and forth. That's okay. I kind of set them up for that. Blake Snell minus 350, Justin Steele plus 260 is where we sit entering Steele's start for tonight. Payoff pitch is presented by BetMGM. Use the bonus code ACTION when signing up to get up to $1,500 paid back in bonus bets if your first bet loses. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Underdog for Friday. Charlie, where are we looking?
Yeah, so this is an angle that I like to take here, and it's fading teams after clinching their division spot. So with that, keeping that in mind, I'm going with the Marlins here. I'm just playing it small to start. I got plus 165. I think the best number out there is 155 right now. Still cool with that. And I'm waiting to see the Braves line up all together before potentially upgrading to a full unit. But typically teams celebrate hard after a win. Obviously the Braves had a day off yesterday, so it's not, the best process of just, they probably celebrated hungover yesterday. They have that day off to kind of recuperate for today. But keeping that in mind, the Marlins are fighting for a playoff spot and they have all the motivation in the world. It's hard to cap motivation, especially in baseball, right? It seems like in basketball and in football, it's easier to handicap because, less players or I guess less players in basketball and football, it's kind of easier to handicap motivation there. But in baseball, this is, I think, a prime spot for the Marlins to come out hot and to take on the Braves, who really, frankly, probably don't care that much about the rest of the season right now. Cueto's on the mound, 4.81 expected ERA. His ERA is up at above 6. I rarely ever advocate to bet Johnny Cueto. If you've seen any of my bets over this season, I've faded him plenty of times. But look at his numbers. They're actually a little bit better than Bryce Elder in some areas that I value a little bit highly. Extremely high chase rate and a 37% hard hit rate is above average. His biggest issue, though, is barrel rate. And while he limits hard hit rate for the majority of the time, he does give up a lot of homers, and that's where he gets beaten. 10 home runs over his last 6 starts because he gives up a lot of fly balls. But again, if the Braves sit out Acuna or Olsen, then I think that there's a great chance that the Marlins are going to be more than live here. Elder on the mound. We've talked about him all season long. He's a nibbler. He somehow is able to just escape negative regression. His xERA nearly a run higher than actual, despite having a low strikeout rate. He just benefits from generating a lot of swings out of the zone and having a high ground ball rate to get out of those double plays. But he ranks lower than Cueto in expected batting average and hard hit rate. He's been running hot the last few starts, 2.54 ERA over the last 5. But I like the Marlins to kind of bounce back here to take down the Braves fresh off their series win against the Phillies. Great for our Phillies under win total. And they're hungover from their their NL East win and clinching. So give me the Marlins here at plus 155.
Yeah, classic Braves getting a day off after they clinch the division. Can't even get a hungover lineup today. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I can't imagine they're going to sit everybody. But we'll see. Olsen did get to 51. He's chasing home run records. But maybe Riley gets a maintenance day. Acuna probably don't. I mean, he wants MVP. It's hard to say, but
I think
Bryce Elder,
MVP
his ground ball rate's been steadily declining, and that's been led to a lot of more slugging against him. And so that's the concern about Elder.
I think I think Acuna's got the MVP all locked up at this point.
He's on a good team.
The last time we did the show was 2 weeks ago, right before when they were.
I said Acuna was cheap at minus 140. He's like minus 600. Yeah, well, he did also run like a god for 2 weeks. He hit like 8 homers the last 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, I mean, right before the Dodgers series, it was over.
And I won't ever forget that because that was after Mookie Betts came in and peed all over the Red Sox.
Did he? I feel like he had like just an okay series.
Come on, he was excellent. Him and Freeman were excellent in that series.
I know Cutter Crawford got him out twice. That's all I remember.
Okay, give us your underdog. We got to move this along.
I'm going to take the Rockies plus 190 at home against Logan Webb. Logan Webb, career 3.46 ERA, somebody who pitches to contact more than every ace in baseball, pretty much. And with the Giants being just like an average defensive team, they're better than last year, where they were like one of the worst in the league. This year, they're just kind of league average defensively. He now goes to Coors Field, and I think there's just inherent risk in backing him on the road and him not living up to his market rating as a result. He has a career 4.89 ERA at Coors Field, and it's not a huge sample, and I don't really ever reference this, but I think it is intuitive if you think about it, because somebody who pitches to so much contact now goes to the biggest BABIP park in Major League Baseball. And so do I want to bet Chase Anderson? No, but plus 190 is way too high given, I think you're paying a little bit of a tax on the Giants, who are now the betting favorite to land the 6th seed. They have a 1 game lead in the loss column for the 6th seed, and they do have a couple tiebreakers. So the Giants, who still have to play the Dodgers 7 times and a couple more with the D-backs, are the favorite to at plus 170 to be the 6th seed in this playoff race. So I'm going to go with the Rockies. I think the Rockies are going to have a lot to say about this race in the coming weeks. They still have Cubs series left, and they still have, I believe they have the D-backs still too. So they're going to have a say. And tonight I'm going to back them at plus 190 and Chase Anderson, who might be the worst. He's in the bottom 5 worst starters in baseball.
Okay, before we go, Charlie DeSturco has got some looks for his 777s article that will come out in the Action app, actionnetwork.com. What can you tell us right now that you have, Charlie?
Yeah, I'll give out just one and tease the other 2. We mentioned Corey Seager and how dominant he has been this season, and how, if any other year Corey Seager win MVP. Well, I like his matchup here tonight against Lucas Giolito. He's only plus 310 to hit a home run, which I think is pretty cheap considering just how dominant Seager is. He's in the top 3% of all hitters in expected batting average, expected slugging, and barrel rate. So he does it all. He's actually, since the integration era of baseball, I saw a tweet about this earlier. He has which is 1947. He has the highest OPS ever by a shortstop. A-Rod had the highest at 1045. He's at 1069 right now. Well, he faces Lucas Giolito, who doesn't matter what team he plays on, he gives up a crap ton of home runs. He has a near 2 home run per 9. Since joining the Guardians, he's giving up 6 home runs in 10 innings. Corey Seager is automatic. The dude is incredible. 31 homers in 103 games. I think that continues here against Giolito, who puts the ball in the air a lot. And then there's 2 others that you can just check out my article for. Let's just get out of here. You can check out the article to see the other 2.
Real quick, Giolito has given up 16 home runs in 42 innings since being traded, a 7.45 FIP and an 8 ERA, 1-7. That is, the worst trade acquisitions / waiver claims in the history of baseball. It is up there.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not that bad. It's a lot of bad. It's a lot of run bad, but yeah, giving up that many homers is pretty remarkable.
Okay. I think that's it. And Debundo, off the top, he did agree with Charlie on the Dodgers. That was the last one you wanted to get to. RIP Chaim Bloom. It's about time. Thank you for building the farm system. Now, Red Sox, you don't have to bring in a Dave Dombrowski type. I know he's done a great job in Philly, Debundo, but let's not trade all these guys. I get it.
We love Dave. He hasn't even
identify the ones you really like, and then package other ones to go actually spend money and get real Major League Baseball players to Boston, please.
Like Trevor Story?
Well, the contract, the luxury tax.
Sorry, Chris Sale will save the Red Sox next season.
That is one thing I will not thank Dave Dombrowski for, is that freaking contract. After John Henry said, before John Lester, he then therefore allows his GM, whoever it may be, Sale, David Price, which was the Dombrowski signing too. We won't pay left-handers over 30 years old, big contracts. And they gave David Price money, and they gave Chris Sale money. And then see you later, he goes to Philadelphia and nearly wins a championship. But anyway, bye high and blow.
He's going to get one this year. I totally forgot what I was going to say.
BJ's rolling in his grave right now at the Chris Sale slander. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Just wanted to have a couple words there on Chaim Bloom. Thank goodness he's gone. Oh, and by the way, you watch. Alex Cora will be like the Brad Stevens of the Celtics. Alex Cora is going to run the Red Sox. And then Carlos Beltran's going to be our manager. That's my prediction.
Are they bringing back the trash cans?
On that note, for Anthony DeBundo, Charlie DeSturco, Brendan Glasheen, thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch. We are back next week. Our program is presented by BetMGM. Have a great weekend.